morning, everybody. And first things first, my name's Trevor Martin, and I am the founder of RMF Coaching. And as you know, this is the YouTube show Way of the Warrior. And today, I'm excited to give you the opportunity to talk with Sabine. And Sabine caught my eye on LinkedIn as a powerful individual who is looking to inspire others in this world through certain avenues. So, first of all, thank you for joining us, audience. And second, Sabine, thank you for being willing to be here. And I'm sorry that this one's over the phone.
No worries. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no worries. So I'm excited to get started, into the discussion. One of the very first things that kind of intrigued me about you is what you're currently doing right in the gym, physical fitness, and just the power that seems to come and flow out of you, just the energy. It's pretty amazing. So I guess I kind of want to ask, like, have you always been this way? And like how did you build up to this point? So what's in your past? Like, where did was this always something that you found to be part of you, or did it build up?
That's a that's a loaded question. That's like, okay, let me just give you 35 years in a nutshell.
Or,
So, I'm originally from Germany. I left Germany when I was 17, and I've been on my own since then, building up to where I am today. And I'm just starting a whole new chapter. I basically retired the entrepreneurial world 2 months ago. I sold my latest business. I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 19.
wow.
So yes, I put myself through school when I went to Canada. I started off originally like around 19 being homeless in Toronto and started my first business on a park bench basically. And I went from there and over the years just built one company after another and at 51 retired early. And for me, I've had this calling over the last few years to close that entrepreneurial chapter and go into giving back and telling my story so I can inspire others to do to be able to do whatever it is that they want to do. Really, that's what it comes down to, that we all have the power to do that, to ignore the circumstances we're in because those are really only excuses and just power ahead with what's in our heart and follow that.
That is absolutely amazing. Like,
I
so,
mean, that's the nutshell.
well, the nutshell. And one of the things that I would say that's kind of that's really resonating in my head is the whole park bench, right? When you were talking about the park bench, and I'm thinking like park, like I don't know, I'm thinking about titles like park bench to profit, or I don't know. But so take us back to that moment. Like, what were you feeling? So when you're sitting there on the park bench and you're starting, I mean, you were talking about being homeless. Like, what was going through your mind? We're like, look, I have got to do something. I've got to start somehow. How did you formulate that plan?
So coming from Europe and being in North America, I saw a lot of opportunity with regards to products. And people always ask me when I would go back home, they would say, "Can you bring me this? Can you bring me that?" Because the prices were so different. So I always, and even today, I see opportunity everywhere where people are like during COVID, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do that." And I'm like, "No, but you can do this." Like there's a new opportunity that arises even when you're in the crappiest of places. And for me, I had gotten scholarships at the beginning, the first couple of years I was in Canada, and then those were done, and I had to either go back home or not, and I didn't want to go back home. So
Mm.
I told my parents, "Oh no, I have a job in Toronto. I'm going to stay in Toronto," but they didn't know that I was sitting on that park bench, and I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to sleep. And but I had this idea in my head. I saw the opportunity, and I said, "I'm going to go for it." And the funny thing is, or really interesting thing is that it never occurred to me that this might not work out. Like I never even considered the option of failure, that what if
Mm.
this doesn't work? You have no money to go to school in 4 months from now. That never occurred to me. And I there was no lifeline, there was no parachute. It's just, this is what we're going to do. And now, how are we going to do that? And I found people, like, oh, can I crash on your floor? Can I crash on your sofa? Like, and I made it work. I had no money for even a subway ticket. So I walked for hours to get to appointments. And somehow I always found that one person who believed in me and said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give you a warehouse at the airport. You can pay that off once you do your first shipment. There was always that person. And that's something today when people come to me and they're like, I need this, or can I borrow a little bit of money from you to get this started? And when it feels right, I always want to be that person who believes and supports somebody, because that's for me paying it back, because I've always somehow magically found those people, and so I just went for it. And it worked out, and it's been like this throughout my entire life. Like, I've never, when I have an idea in my head, there's never, that idea and that passion for that idea is always stronger than the fear of failure. I don't even consider that. It's not an option.
That's awesome. I'm a big fan of that. Like, banish the fear of failure. Like, get that out of here. Like, because you can. So as I'm listening to what you're saying, I go back once again. I go back to the point you made where you said, okay, you can't do it this way, and you probably can't do it this way, but you can do it this way. So you're consistently looking at all of those options, at those opportunities, instead of taking and looking through a negative lens. You're
Right.
looking at, how can I make this work? Like, let's be real. I'm sitting on a park bench, right? So I am where I am, and for right now, the only place I can see is up. I can see possibilities. I can see progress. Now, all I need to do is dig deep, engage that power within, and strike while the iron's hot. Right? I'm going to make movements, and we talk about, and one of the purposes of Way of the Warrior is talking about putting goodness, that sense of kindness and gratefulness back into the world. So that goes full circle to what you were just saying about, so it always seemed where check marks were being checked, or boxes were being checked, excuse me, because people were like, okay, I believe in you. First shipment comes in, you make a payment. Till then, here's warehouse, or here's this, here's that. So instead of just simply taking advantage of that, which you could, and then that's it, you're like, you know what? I've been blessed. The opportunities have come my way. So now what am I going to do? Now I'm going to take those opportunities that I've had, and if they arise for others, I'm going to say, if they're tangible, of course, I'm going to say, I got you. I see you.
Right.
I believe because somebody believed in me. And that hope, and we know how that pay it forward progress works, right? You drop that little stone on, and that you got the ripple effect. So
And what's really beautiful about that is that at the end, so about, I want to say 3 years ago, I realized that I had checked all of my goal boxes, all of my North Star boxes. And I was like, financially, professionally, as a mother, whatever, I did it. I achieved what I wanted to achieve. And it put me into the worst depression I ever had. Like, forget sitting on a park bench and having a dream. That's like, yes, let's go. But when I realized, oh shit, you arrived. That for me was the worst spot to be in. I got depressed. I hate to admit it, but I was secretly hoping I would go to sleep and never wake up. I had lost what I was living for. Like, I had lost my North Star, my lights, I had lost my compass. And I'm like, and now what? Like, is it really that the biggest purpose is to keep raising the bar and aiming higher and higher and hustling more and more? That can't be it. What the heck? What am I going to do now? And I figured out that, and I had kind of done it before, but I needed to dig really deep to realize that the real definition of success for me, and I've been doing a lot of research on this lately. It's not just me. You think you're alone in this, but you're actually not. The, but I'm just going to speak for myself. the greatest definition of success for me was to give back, to do good in the world. So the last company I had was a philanthropic business where a lot of the profits actually went to support homeless children and family to get them out of homelessness. And for
Mm.
me, that's an important topic, like something that's really dear to my heart. And there's 30% of all college students here in Long Beach are homeless. They live in their cars. They have gym memberships to take showers. It's horrible numbers. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. And when I got involved in that, uh, my business, even though I was kind of bored with the business, started to make sense again. And that's what I realized, what had slowly like gotten into my life, into my goals, is to help others, to like really, really give back and have a focus on that. And when I hit rock bottom emotionally, because I didn't know what else to aim for anymore, I was like, oh my God, you gotta get rid of the business that you have, and you got to focus 100% on sharing the insights that you have and helping others achieve what you have achieved. And all of a sudden my life made sense again. So it's not success. The definition of success is not, I think it's evolved over time, in general in our society, because when you look at research and at studies now, there's like, I don't know, 70 some percent of people, their main goal is to give meaning to their life. It's not materialistic things like it used to be in the previous generations, the title and the money. That's not on top of the list anymore. It's how can I give meaning? How can I contribute? How can I serve others? And
Mm.
that's the beautiful thing about this. It has completely shifted.
Yeah. I'm so, before we were on here for a little bit before I hit the record button, right? And um, I was talking about how I'm glad that I met you and that, hey, I can learn things from you as well. And I'm going to tell you what you just said about not wanting to wake up. You had all of these things and you climbed them, you climbed to the highest, the highest point, and you're like, wow, you know what, I don't even know where my true north is, my north star, to your point, and I don't really want to wake up. That hit me right in the forehead, Sabine. I'll be honest, because I mean, I'm climbing, like I'm not where you are by or have been by any means, but I'm trying to get there. And in the back of my head, I keep thinking that I have to keep climbing. I want to keep climbing because that's my drive, right? I want to be the best. I want to get there. And if I'm the best, then I can help others. I can bring others up. But then there's that sense of pride in self. So to hear you say, hey, I got there. And then when I got there, I went, well, shit. I mean, now what? Like, I mean, it's just now I'm still like the void's still there. But then
Yes.
to realize that, okay, if I truly focus, it's just I don't know, it's just a lesson that's hitting me right now, that to always stay humble and to make sure that you understand that your purpose is actually elevating others greater than, other than self, and to not lose sight of that.
Right.
So
And to have faith in the process. A lot of people, even the people who know me well over the last few months, were like, you're doing what? You're giving up your business? You're giving up your income? And I was, yeah, because I don't need a private jet. I don't need, like all this fancy stuff. I don't need it. What I need is that joy inside in the morning, to be excited to wake up and do something that just, ah, like honestly, ever since I changed my life and I made those adjustments, I wake up at 4 a.m. every day and I'm on freaking fire. Before a year ago, I was like, I don't want to do, I don't want to do this. And and not because I love the people I worked with and all of that. That was all cool, but that fire inside of me is back. And it's like, before it was driven by fear because I was sitting, I had to get my ass off that park bench. I had to find a way to support myself, to actually
Right.
find a home and to feed myself and all that. So that first part of my life was fear driven. But today, I'm not fear driven anymore. I am joy driven. I am driven by, and now let's make a difference, like a true difference. And that fire, oh my God, it's amazing.
I'm gonna tell you right now, like I'm literally juiced for the day. Like I'm pumped up. Like just from hearing you and hearing those words of encouragement and explaining the difference and explaining that what where that true value actually lies. It does. Like real.
But you know what I want to say is it's yes, the true value, but there is an order to that madness. Yes.
Right.
I believe that all along my drive was right on par. Like, yes, you
Okay.
gotta pay your bills. You gotta take care of your family. Focus on that. Like, I am not saying that this is not, this is real. Like, yes, let that fire of responsibility or fear, whatever it is, let that fuel you. But at some point, that switches. Like, there's no ego in this. And there is, um, you got to get to a place where you can say, you know what, I have the faith that I'm going to be taken care of. I'm
Right
not
on.
shooting for that anymore. Like I'm not saying, oh, I need to make millions of dollars and have a certain lifestyle, the big house and all of that. No, 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 no. That's not relevant anymore. But of course, you still have to live. And I think that brings us into the next point. Like that's why I am making further adjustments to my life,
Okay.
to take the pressure off. I am uprooting myself right now and leaving California and moving to places where, life is a little simpler, is a little more affordable. So because I don't want that pressure anymore. I don't want to have the fear. I don't want to have a mortgage of $6,000 a month. I don't want to have a car payment and like I don't want to have a living expense of 10,000 a month. And no, I want to use that energy and I want to focus on the energy of joy. That's what I want to focus on with the work that I do of helping others. And I'm going to take a step back and humble myself and live according to where I don't have that pressure because I do not allow fear to drive me anymore. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I'm all in. Let's go. Right.
Yeah.
Like it makes perfect sense. It really does. So as you're making that's perfect segue. You were talking about this transition into this new lifestyle. So as you were transitioning, we've talked. There's something new that you're working on. How does this new transition? What's the future look like for Sabine as it relates to we already know about your personal growth and what you're doing, but your business.
So I started a podcast which is going to launch in by the middle of October. It's all ready to go, and so it's called The Power Life, and that's where I share my stories because there's a lot of stories from the park bench to
I
all kinds of other things, and how, for example, how I got into bodybuilding at 49. I had a
look at
home
you.
attack. I got the shit beaten out of me. I had PTSD and I um again hit rock bottom. PTSD it's not a cakewalk. It's a horrible thing to go through. But I got into bodybuilding to pick myself up and to lift myself up, have those endorphins. Sometimes 2, 3 times a day I would go to the gym, but it that attack was a catalyst to changing my life once again, changing my lifestyle. And 3 years later, I am fitter than I've ever been in my life, and I feel better and I have more energy from that. And a couple of years ago, I got an award called the Inspire Award here in Los Angeles for inspiring others and bodybuilders with, the strength and tenacity that I have. And
Right on.
That's it. It's all in line, you know. It's a beautiful thing. I really do believe that whatever challenges we have, they're gifts. They're true gifts. And when we see them that way, we can transform them and change the narrative about what's going on. But anyways, this is going way too far. So, what was I saying?
You were doing the podcast. What's
Oh
going
yeah, the
along?
podcast. So the podcast is full of these stories and inspirations, and I want to give people faith. I don't like the word hope because hope is not right. It's faith. And I want to give them inspiration and guidance on how to make it out of those places that seem hopeless uh,
Oh,
to where you really want to go. And I want to help him to get clarity on what is it that you really want? Come on, let's get to it. What is it? And when you know that, when you know what you really want, there's a way to get there, which I have proven over and over and again in my life. And that's what I want to share. So that's the podcast that's coming out the Power Life. And there's going to be updates on that on my Instagram, Sabine Power Life. And then also the producer who is, you know, producing my podcast suggested, because he was blown away by my story, he said, can you write a book? And I was like, yeah, sure, I can write a book. Oh my God, let's do a podcast with a membership program where I can really help people so that but they don't have to pay the one-on-one coaching fees. So I'm doing that. And I quickly wrote a book. So that's also going to be published in the next couple of weeks by the middle of October. And it's called The Love Odyssey. And it's a easy book, but full of inspirations. It talks about relationships, how to have meaningful and lasting relationships, you know, how to dig a little deeper in
yeah.
yourself, how to make it work. So that's that. And then currently I'm writing on my second book, which is called From Achieving to Becoming, which talks exactly about that transition of we constantly trying to achieve and raise the bar and raise the bar and work harder and push ourselves harder. And then go from that to actually, if you're only looking at the achieving, you're missing the point. It's about becoming. Who do you want to become? What do you want to become? How do you want to feel in the morning when you wake up? That's the main goal. And that's what I'm writing on right now. And but that's going to take a little longer. That's going to come out next year.
I got to tell you, like, I'm absolutely so. First of all, thank you for giving us some insight onto where you're at now and what the future looks like. Like, my face hurts from smiling on this one. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Like, I've got so much to do today, but just simply listening to the energy that's coming out of you, like, I'm like, let's go. This is amazing. So I'm excited. I've seen, you talking about your book. I'm excited about the second book, but most of all, I'm excited about that podcast and hearing those stories as you release them, and the help that's going to provide others. Because
Right.
I'm blessed and honored to know you, to call you friend, and to be able to sit here and speak with you right now. And I can tell that, how that's impacted me just in half an hour. So I can't imagine, as the podcast and as these things grow and the people get to hear and read and see about you and what you represent, and that overall purpose, I'm stoked. It's epic already.
Good, good. Yeah, I feel like the people I touch, the people I meet, whether it's through my physical appearance, like in the supermarket, or people in the gym or, online, there is this energy is contagious.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's just what I want to bring across and say, hey, let me give you a little bit of that. And that's my goal right now. That's all I'm aiming for. If I can make a difference in your life and put a smile on your face or lift you up and encourage you to go for that goal or give you a little bit of clarity and give you some insight on how to do that, there it is. That's my purpose. I'm good.
Sabine, I absolutely love it. And I want to thank you. So thank you, like, from the bottom of my heart, for taking
My
time
pleasure.
out of your busy schedule to meet with me today, and, and give the audience an opportunity, to dive into, what it is, who you are, what you represent. So as the interest gains, and builds, where can people find you on social media? How can people get a hold of you? Subscribe to what you're doing. What platforms are you on?
So I'm on Instagram at Sabine underscore power underscore life. And then I have a website called thepowerlifecoach.com. And there you can find all the information. You can find the links to the upcoming book, the links to the podcast. And if you want to subscribe to the membership program where I give you work to do and where you can go along with me with the podcast, people who are interested in doing the work, you can sign up for that there as well. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Sabine Schoepke. But yeah, and I'm on TikTok too, which is challenging for me, but I'm there.
Well, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to watch this grow and to learn more about you, through the different avenues of communication that you offer. So once again, thank you very much for joining me on this way
Thank
of the
you.
world. I promise you, I'm going to have you back on here because I can't wait
Good.
to see
Yeah.
where this audience. Thank you so much, for tuning in today. Make sure that you connect with Sabine, and please make sure that you provide us feedback, on this episode, and make sure you slam that subscribe button. So once again, thank you all for joining us, and have a great day.